Hello, beautiful souls. Today we'll be diving into the heart chakra to uncover an understanding of how it fits into your relationship with money. If you haven't listened to the first three episodes in this series, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, I strongly recommend you listen to those first. The series of 7 episodes will give you a strong foundation for a framework that I've created to help people improve their relationship with money, to better understand the root causes underneath your challenges and how to begin shifting things in your favor. Whether you've struggled with having enough money or no matter how much money you have, you still end up feeling like there's a void inside of you, you are in the right place. One way to think about the chakras is that they are part of a universal energy system that we all connect into, meaning the chakras link us to the energy field that is far more than just physical, like our bodies, but it goes into the metaphysical. The Taoists call it the Tao. The yogis call it prana. It's this lifeblood running through all of us. And in a similar way, money does the same thing. It's a form of currency that's moving throughout the societies that we reside in. This is all about helping us to connect into one another and this understanding of the fact that we are an energy system and we are part of an energy system. We benefit by greater understanding of it, and it allows us to know who we are, understand our fears, understand the reasons behind the things that we do and the things that we react to. And it is intended to help us navigate all of life much easier. With the heart chakra, we're moving into love, and it's about helping you to not put so much pressure on yourself. As I dive deeper into the heart chakra, I want you to be thinking about the idea of letting go of the need to resolve things, to have it all be a certain way right here, right now, allowing the timing to happen on its own and realizing that sometimes we need things to get tangled up in life before they can get resolved. Disturbances in the subtle energy system prevent us from experiencing other people fully and from understanding ourselves deeply. And as we want to develop a more satisfying relationship with all of life, including money, the understanding of the heart chakra is really, really powerful work. And it allows us to experience a state of wholeness through self-remembrance and reunion with all the parts of ourselves, including the divine and this rooted connection with Mother Earth. I invite you to feel your way through what I'm sharing with you. It is not a hard and fast science. It's about what comes up for you, what gets brought up to be witnessed and seen and loved and accepted. I've developed what I'm sharing with you over the past 20 years, tens of thousands of hours of meditation and contemplation. And while I may make it seem easy or, easy for the mind to understand, there's so much depth to it. And so I invite you to listen with your heart rather than just the mind, because you'll have so much an easier time integrating it and understanding it at a really deep level inside of you. Normally, when we think about the struggles that we have with money, we end up thinking from a very practical standpoint, like we must address the problem financially. But what I've learned after studying money for nearly 3 decades is that money has two aspects to it: the practical and external experiences that I think most of us are familiar with. And then we also have the inner experiences of money. And what I'm most interested in doing is exploring this and helping people to explore their inner experiences with money. And so instead of thinking, oh, I have a money problem and I have to do X, Y, and Z, then perhaps after listening to this series, you'll start to look more deeply at what may be causing that outer problem to appear. And so we start to think about, gosh, what is this problem telling me? What's happening under the surface of myself? So that we can get to the root of the problem. We can change the foundation. And then our financial house that we're building is much stronger and steadier as a result. it also, when we are engaged with money and we're earning money and saving it, investing it, and so on, we through this work, we learn how to have it bring us more happiness. And this happens because we're understanding ourselves and the things that are most important to us before we go out and do those things with the money. So the way I like to think about the heart chakra is it's this love lens for life. The fourth chakra regulates feelings of being loved. It's located here at the center of the chest. It's about being appreciated for one's contributions. The money fear that gets activated is the belief that you are not able to ask for and receive what you most want in life. This area governs feelings related to being cared for physically and emotionally. It is green in color. It's symbolic of the crossing between the personal and the universal. So it's the meeting point with the upper chakras and the lower chakras coming together. The lower chakras represent our animal natures and instincts, while the heart begins the journey towards the spiritual realm. It's centered on you down below. And as you move into the heart and above, you move into this universal consciousness of we. The heart ties into your feelings of being able to fully give of yourself and to fully receive. And the more these are in balance with each other, the more joy you feel in your heart. However, when giving and receiving, or sharing and receiving, are not in balance for long periods of time, you eventually find yourself feeling a sense of depletion. And the thing I know about life is all things want to find harmony and balance. We're always seeking to find that. Now, it's easier said than done, right? But the idea is that we often find ourselves gravitating to where is the balance and harmony that can be found in life. The heart is actually even more oriented than any of the other chakras to help you do this. Before the age of 7, we're creating beliefs about our relationships, about love, about our heart's innermost desires, universal principles about sharing, right, and receiving. If during this time we learn the power of love in its many forms, including forgiveness, compassion, generosity, kindness, caring for yourself and for others, we naturally understand relationships and how to love and protect ourselves. However, if our relationships were inhibited by experiences and beliefs that disrupt this natural force surrounding nurturing, and our dreams and wants and needs can become stunted and diminished. The awakening of the heart chakra means a rising upward, like I said, of an experience of unity with all of life. And for that reason, love is an action of faith that tells you it's going to be okay, to not have to be operating from a defensive, protective, fear-based way of being, and that all is going to turn out okay in the end, even if you have no conceptual understandings of the how that's going to come to be. And to create an abundant life requires that you believe in this possibility of goodness, regardless of the circumstances that you've experienced in the past. It's a very elevated state of consciousness. It makes sense that you have to navigate through the root and the sacral and the solar plexus before you can comfortably and enjoyably stroll through the awareness that comes in the heart chakra. The process of understanding love and compassion and acceptance begins with one's tribe, often the family unit, and then extends out into the greater world. And depending on what's happened to us in the past, we may or may not feel a sense of secureness in this sense of love, both for ourselves as well as for others. Up until now, we've been exploring the lower chakras, and with the heart, we're moving upwards, like I said, from the physical realm of our energy and into the more esoteric anatomy. We're focused with the lower chakras to help us get our physical house in order, which is why we were wanting to pay attention to these feelings of safety, and then feeling into our feelings, and then being able to have a sense of our own power. Then as we get more dialed in with saving money and spending it appropriately and feeling like we've got enough coming in to take care of our needs, Then we move into these experiences, from the money management, we move into this sense of well-being. And as we move into the heart, a lot of things are happening. We're beginning to integrate our physical world with the higher worlds of more spiritual vibrations and subtlety, right? So this is an important step as students of energy, because now we're able to feel what's happening within our heart. And this is the world of paying attention to your passions, to the things you love. This is sometimes referred to as the seat of your soul, the lotus flower. As it becomes freer to express itself, the more you radiate love into the world, and you're radiating it upwards into your mind, you're radiating it downwards into this sense of grounding, you're accessing knowledge and faith and wisdom and healing and miracles. And the more you enter the inner spaces of the heart chakra, the more you gain access to these gifts. Being able to share your gifts with the world and to be paid in commensurate to the value that you're creating in the world is part of the heart chakra, of an overactive heart chakra. And in this case, there's this tendency to overgive, to undercharge, to under earn, to possibly even enter into codependent relationships that we're hoping the other person will help square up what you don't feel like you have in your own skills and abilities. And so again, this is all about finding this sense of harmony. The heart chakra is also allowing you to step back and kind of watch the experience of being vulnerable, of seeing your gifts as strength, of perhaps watching the movie of the drama of your life and seeing the pressure, like I said, that you're putting on yourself. And so we're dropping that away, feeling this sense of compassionate love for ourselves, and then allowing that to help us navigate the world in a different way. Some of the quotes I came across with that apply to the heart chakra is one by Robert Kiyosaki. He said, "The more I risk being rejected, the better my chances are of being accepted." Susie Orman said, "I do not think I am successful just because I have money. I'm successful because I love who I am and I have no regrets. I'm successful because I have a great heart and I have compassion and I care, and I would be happy to, I would be happy with or without money." So let me tell you a story about one of the clients that I feature in the book and helped me in tremendous ways with the writing of the book, right? This is where it all came together, and her willingness to share her story and work with me and being so vulnerable and open about it and working and applying this work for years into her money story. So when I first met her, she was running a virtual staffing business and had several employees. By all appearances, it was a thriving and successful business, but inside of the business, she was barely squeaking by, and she also was burdened by a lot of debt. And so this was really affecting her overall psyche, because there was a part of her that thought that she was never going to turn the ship in the direction she wanted it to. She trusted this work. She didn't know how it would help her, even if it just helped her feel stronger and more compassionate towards herself. That was better than where she was coming from when she first started it. To me about the fact that as a deeply sensitive child, raised with a very strong religious doctrine that revolved around fear and intimidation from a young age, she had worked very hard to try and fit into life. Starting at about the age of 4, she found herself being called out by her parents for the smallest mistakes, and they would invite her to go into her bathroom, remove her clothing, and she would be beaten until they weren't mad at her anymore for what she had done. During these episodes that continued off and on until she was 13, she was not allowed to cry, and once they were done, they would immediately tell her they felt bad about the fact that she had caused them to punish her. So then it was her job to try and make them feel better about what she had caused them to do. This continuous punishment cycle and the manipulation provoked feelings of shame and guilt and humiliation that caused her to feel terribly alone and afraid. In her teens, she met someone for the first time who she really trusted, and they got to know each other. And this man was like the first person to really see her and accept her for all that she was. And there was deep emotional connection. Later on, after college, they were to be married, and she was ecstatic about being able to be with someone who had brought her so much joy. Although even within a few weeks before the wedding, she started to have a sense that something was changing inside of this man, but she couldn't put her finger on it. And days after the wedding, she witnessed him change into a completely different person. Gone was this friendly and supportive friend, that she thought she had married. And in his place was this, how she describes it, like a man child who criticized the things that she did and was very disconnected from her. And he would not talk to her for days and go out and spend the night in other places or play video games all night long to avoid sleeping in the same bed together. And even, within 6 weeks, she was so upset. She went to see the pastor at the church to ask him, like, what's going on? How can I help this? And he told her that she was being overly emotional and to give it time. Having witnessed her parents' traditional approach with money and running the household, Leanne thought that he was going to take care of their financial needs. And when he took up an internship after graduation from college, he quickly proved that he wasn't really interested in the work. And she found herself actually doing a lot of the job details so that he could keep his job and they could have money coming in. After the birth of their first child, things began to spiral out of control very quickly. And before she knew it, there was times where her husband was spending the money in, for fun and enjoyment and not paying the bills, to the point where she had to become very creative in learning how to live very frugally, taking groceries back to the store to get refunds, learning how to apply for and receive food stamps, how to get the most out of couponing, anything to make the small amount of money she received from him to go further. There were times where it was so bad that she had to, rely on her mom or friends or even neighbors to help her be able to have the things that she needed to take care of her kids. Regardless of how bad things got, she continued to try and capture his love and attention. And when that didn't work, she would leave him for days at a time with the kids, but then he would always kind of change his mannerisms and seductively encourage her to come back. Once she was back and settled, the same pattern would start again. After a while, she realized that it was time for her to start earning some money, and she started this virtual staffing business where she just started doing that, one-on-one. Thankfully, she was really good at it, and it started to take off. And before you knew it, she started to have more independence from her husband and not being so dependent, right, on his financial paycheck and his irresponsible manners. In the end, she realized that it was time, as she gained more ability through her power to make money, to actually leave him. But by the time she made that decision, she realized that her student loans and the other debt that they had accumulated, she ended up after the divorce with more than $200,000 in debt. And part of the reason she was struggling so badly, right, in kind of keeping above water, was because the debt service was so high for this debt. So when she explained all of this to me, we were able to notice that there was this deep set feeling of being unloved and victimized and neglected as she was growing up. And the shadow had always been there, always predominated her way of thinking about herself, and kept her from stepping into the things that she really wanted in this life, namely a loving partner, having a business that was thriving and profitable for her. So all the things that she was working on often is around money turned out to be struggle filled. The bright light in her life, I will mention, is raising her sons and the relationship she had with them. She was able to pour so much love in their direction. And that wasn't something that she was needing help with here. She's doing a great job. What she really needed was how to step into her own power with money and with her own sense of self. So, in the work that we did, we helped Leanne to learn about um, and literally drop away the belief systems that she had constructed very early in life about who she was and the value that she created in the world. There is more commentary that you can read about with some of the work that we did together in the freebies that you get when you buy the Mindful Millionaire book and go to mindfulmillionairebook.com, enter your information, and you can hear more about her story and the work that we did to help her release the belief systems that were causing her so much grief. As she was able to start doing this work and realize that there were these belief systems that were holding her back, namely, I earn love by doing things, not by being me. I hate myself for always living in struggle. I'm not capable of ever getting out of debt. It's not possible for me to earn more money. So, as those beliefs started to fall one by one, she was able to notice that it was like a whole new world arising. Is like all of a sudden, without that belief system, she could start navigating through her business and through her life and managing her employees and running the business that she has always wanted to run. She was able to increase her prices in the business and be able to make some other strategic changes that allowed the business to grow in size and become more profitable. Work, she came to this place of feeling the completeness and this love of sense towards herself, and the shadow belief that she was ready to release above all others is that I shouldn't be who I am. Yet after this work, that she didn't have to prove anything, right? That money was merely a tool that helped her to live her life in a more conducive way. But this idea of striving or fighting or having to, be in relationships that weren't good for her soul were no longer part of the story. As you come into this balanced place with your heart chakra, there's so much depth to what's ready to be discovered. A few of the quotes, that I think can help you maybe solidify and ground what I'm talking about. Give to yourself as much as you give of yourself. This means you have to put yourself first, right? And sometimes that's hard for some of us to do. We have to learn to turn out lots of goods and services, but we haven't learned as well how to have everybody share in the bounty. The obligation of society, as prosperous as ours, is to figure out how nobody gets left too far behind. That's a quote by Warren Buffett. Oprah said, if you can get paid for doing what you love, every paycheck is a bonus. Give yourself the bonus of a lifetime. Pursue your passion, discover what you love, then do it. Dave Ramsey said, if you help enough people, you don't have to worry about money. And Robert Kiyosaki said, if you want to be rich, simply serve more people. So the heart chakra, in summary, is about acceptance with yourself, self-love at the deepest levels of your being. It helps you have a long-term view and be patient with things that sometimes they're going to have to resolve on their own. But just by your awareness of what's happening for you and what you're feeling awakens you to new pathways to healing. It's about paying close attention to yourself and who you are in your relationships, to know if your relationships are real, are they working for you or not, to recognize you do know how to fix the things that aren't working in your life, and that we want to pay close attention to what we're learning about ourselves through our relationships, because they're reflecting exactly what we are back to us. So if you're feeling the call to dive deeper into your heart chakra, a few things. Number one, take some time to pause and love on yourself. Just be who you are right now. Watch the movie of the drama of your life. See how the pressure, that you've been putting on yourself can be released. Notice how you can take greater responsibility for yourself and the outcomes of your relationships, but not in a judgmental way, in this loving, accepting way. Like, there's room for me at this table, and my opinions and feelings and desire to be loved and appreciated matter. Number two, allow yourself to pause and allow accepting where you are, creating this feeling of spaciousness, allowing the desires that you have to dictate how you navigate life, the decisions that you make. And then allow yourself to be with the discomfort and notice that as you focus in on any pain you're feeling, the more you hold space for it, the more the pain dissipates. And you allow your emotions to open up inside of your heart. And so you can pause and embrace the love inside of you. Number three, take some time to notice what you're charging for your time, how much you earn on an hourly basis, what you charge for your efforts, what's the value you're creating in the world through your activities, what are the ways you're helping others, and how can you improve the likelihood of your being compensated for the value you're bringing into the world. And keep in mind, it might not just be money. It might be something else, some other kind of resource. And attention and approval. I shouldn't say approval, it's attention and appreciation. And as you engage in the space of your heart chakra, you'll notice that your business endeavors become more peaceful as you begin to clean the slate. You become more of this kind of this vulnerable, open, honest person. You allow your intentions in your heart and your love to guide you. This provides you with optimal conditions for your own growth and expansion. You can also listen to the heart chakra meditation that's listed in the show notes with the podcast, and take some time to listen to this show again and again to see what epiphanies continue to unfold for you. Now is a great time to go to your favorite bookseller and get a copy of my book, The Mindful Millionaire. It's available online and offline at your local bookstores, pre-ordering until June 16th, and then available after that. Finally, if you haven't taken my money and chakra quiz, it's a great time to do that. Find out what chakra is most likely out of balance, and also realizing that you're probably working on more than one, but that will give you an idea of where to focus early on as you learn more about this framework. Thank you so much for listening. Namaste.